A better look at the fall equinox. Welcome back, everyone, and if this is your first time here, then welcome and hi there to you. In this video lesson in alternative astronomy, we're going to start to take a look at the fall equinox in a way you've likely never seen before. So let's jump right in and get a better look at the fall equinox through our alternative astronomy lens. Now, if you search on the internet for some info about the fall equinox, you're going to likely return some results like we're going to take a look at here from timeanddate.com. where they tell us that the fall equinox is considered the first day of autumn or the fall season, and it occurs on a shifting date on the calendar every year, but it falls on the 20th, 21st, or 22nd of September every year in the areas on Earth where we're looking up at northern hemisphere skies. The usual description that we're given about the equinox usually involves the heliocentric model of the universe we're all taught about in school, and we're told that it's the path of the sun moving past the celestial equator down to the southern part of Earth, where it's going to be bringing spring season to them and fall season to us here in the northern hemisphere. You'll also learn from a source like timeanddate.com that the word equinox is derived from Latin, which means equal night. An explanation goes along with this that it's because during this time of the year, where all places on Earth receive about the same number of hours of sunlight. So in other words, everyone receives pretty much equal day to equal nighttime hours. But notice in this explanation about the equinox that it's all about the sun. But in the word equinox, it's right there and no one sees it. It's equal night that's in the word, not day. So we're going to need to take a better look at the fall equinox then and see what's being kept hidden in the dark. Because even a site like timeanddate.com will tell you that equinox days don't exactly have 12 hours of daylight in them. But you can see when you look for your specific location on a site like timeanddate.com, when exactly it is or on what date, you will find equal or almost exactly equal daytime to nighttime hours. And it's usually in this equinox week. And for our location, that date of equal day to nighttime hours doesn't actually occur on the fall equinox. So in this year of what we are doing this video in right now, 2021, the fall equinox falls on September 22nd. But in actuality, the more equal daytime to nighttime hours occurs 3 days afterwards on September 25th. So we're going to keep all this in mind. And if you've already been following us as we've been teaching students this alternative astronomy over the summer months to learn the star constellations of the northern hemisphere night sky, this image will look very familiar to you. But for those who are here for the first time, let me quickly orient you to make things easier to see. Most of the celestial action in the night sky occurs in just one very special place that we've given the nickname the real oracle or the real all-seeing eye to. And you find it by facing due south. And you do that by turning your body until your left side is where the sun is going to rise or has risen in your area in the morning, and your right side is where the sun will set. Now, it's not just the sun that rises in the east and sets in the west along what is known as this arc of the ecliptic, but it's also the moon, all the known planets, and all the star constellations of the zodiac. They are all also found traveling along the same arc of the ecliptic area, rising in the east and setting in the west. Now that we know exactly where to look in the night sky, let's take a look at when to look and what to expect when we do. And what no one's telling you about, but we will. Or better said, we'll show you what's been missing or kept in the dark here in this fall equinox story. So we're taking a look here in this image now at the real oracle or the real all-seeing eye in the sky on the fall equinox this year, which is September 22nd, 2021, like I said. We're looking at what's happening here the first hour after the sun has set in the west, right, along that red line in the image, the arc of the ecliptic. And look what's coming up just above the opposite side of the arc of the ecliptic. It's the full moon, or almost full moon, rising in the east. In fact, 2 nights before, the moon was full then. But here it is just hovering above the eastern horizon of the Earth, and it's just come off of full. Now, it's an almost full moon in the star constellation known as Pisces, the two fishes, as you can see. So we're going to keep that in mind. But in order to see what's been missing here, or why the equinox is really called equal night, we have to look not just at what the sun is doing in the daylight hours this time of year. It's most important to look at the pattern of the moon and the stars during this time of the year too, to get the big or the full fall equinox picture. Now, if we look at the week of the fall equinox going ahead to the year we'll commonly call 2022 when we get there, we see this time, we see the moon just over the western horizon, barely seen in its crescent phase, where it's just coming off of being new and will now begin its journey waxing back toward full night over night. But here, the moon is first seen in this coming from new to crescent moon phase, the first hour after the sun has gone down over the western horizon. Notice the moon's location is right in between the star constellations of Scorpio, the scorpion, that we've looked at before, and Libra, the scales. To start seeing this awesome autumn pattern now, we have to take a look at what's happening in the sky 8 days later. So, in other words, over this fall equinox week, landing on the start of the next week. The moon, we find now, has waxed back to fullness and is found again in the star constellation of Pisces. And as you can see now, also rising from the eastern horizon is just the feet or the tail of Cetus the whale, as it's known today, and also the head of the constellation of Cetus is risen as well. And also notice what's happened to the angle of the arc of the ecliptic overall. It looks like the east side, where the full moon is found now, has risen higher. And it looks like Libra, or the scales, have also tipped down to the western horizon, right? Now, let's go ahead another year so you can start to see and really appreciate this awesome coolness. We're looking at the fall equinox week again in the northern hemisphere. Again, first hour after the sun has set in the west. This time in the year we will commonly call 2023 when we get there. Here we see again a barely crescent coming from new moon, risen over the western horizon in the constellation of Libra the scales, held by what you could say is at the end of the hand of Scorpio, because of the way that Scorpio is shaped, right? It's the moon that is tipping the scales in this equinox story among the stars. But up until now, no one was teaching you how to really see it or how to read the signs like you were made to learn them and really know. So again, going forward in the sky story in what we will call 2023, over the fall equinox week, landing 8 days later to the start of the next week, we find again the moon has traveled coast to coast, you could say, along the arc of the ecliptic from west to east, while at the same time it's waxed from the phases of coming from just off of new in its crescent phase to fullness or wholeness, and it's climbed higher or has tipped the scales up along the arc of the ecliptic in the star constellations of Pisces the fishes and the just newly rising Cetus, while down goes Libra the scales, where the moon began its journey, where the scales are falling into the west. Now you know way more about the real reasons the fall equinox is so named, and the fall season as well. It's not just about the sun and the daytime hours, but it's also about the moon and the stars equally at night in this hidden from most equinox story too. Some of the info that we've looked at in this video lesson comes from our book series, Constellations by Campfire, The Easy and Naked Eye Way for the Fall Season. And you can find our books and much more by visiting our website, starsnearme.com, or by clicking the links below in the description. And with that, I think that'll do it for this fall equinox piece. So until next time, stay lit and be well.